We'd like to welcome you to the Central Street Walk Back in Time. I want to have you imagine that it's 1904 and we've gathered here at the home of George Bartlett, an important businessman and contributor to the community. Here he is now. This is George Bartlett.
Hello, everyone.
Morning. Morning.
I hope you're enjoying a stroll down one of the most handsome streets here in our village. It has given me and my family many years of continuous pleasure to gaze upon our beautiful church and the river, which represent in their own ways a source of much of our spiritual and economic well-being. They've asked me to tell you a little bit about myself and my life here in Sunapee. I was born here in 1841, the eldest child of John and Sarah Bartlett. I was schooled here in Sunapee and at Colby Academy in London. When I left there, I went to Manchester to look for some employment. I worked at a sash and blind factory making boxes, but I soon returned to Sunapee. On my return to Sunapee, I joined the firm of Coles and Buswell, and they manufactured the Concord hame. For those that don't know what a hame is, it's a harness that fits over the neck of a horse and has traces attached to it. You can't have a horse pull a wagon without that. And if it's made properly, it'll last years. It's made of wood and metal and leather. That was around 1861. By 1864, I met a young woman who agreed to marry me. Her name was Sarah, and she came from Claremont. We married in March of that year, and shortly after we moved into this house. I'd like you to meet my wife, Sarah.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to meet you.
Really? We've been at this address for about 40 years. After we've been here about 3 years, Mr. Buswell was killed in an accident, and I was made a junior partner in the firm, and we named it Coles and Bartlett. We continued to do quite well. That was in the same year that our daughter Inez was born. In 1868, we purchased more land and water power from Josiah Turner, as well as a greater portion of the Haynes shop from him. We put all our efforts into building this business. We employed a good number of men in various jobs. We had woodworkers for the ash frames, a foundry and platers for the wrought iron, and we used leather and local tannery. Eventually we got to be about 60 hands and generally ran for the greater part of the year. I don't want to get ahead of myself, so, well, yes, our second child was born in 1873. Our son Ernest, who now has his own family and is working at the Haynes shop. Ellen, why don't you run next door and ask your father to come down and meet some of these folks?
George, you're being modest. I'd like to tell a little bit about what you've done for our community. George and I have been members of the Methodist Episcopal Church, and George serves as the superintendent of the Sunday school and has for 25 years. He's also started a men's Bible class, and he holds prayer meetings at the shop for anyone who's inclined to come. He also serves as a trustee at New London Academy and at the Tilton Seminary. And he's very supportive of my efforts on behalf of the Women's Christian Temperance Union.
as long as we're bragging, I might as well let you know that I installed the granite stone watering trough and drinking fountain at the head of the street by the Knowlton Block. I just figured we needed one and no one else had done it. We brought the water in on a pipe from the stone dam. And 2 years ago, we decided to give it to the town.
And since you did, now you don't have to work on it anymore.
In 1880-81, I was sergeant in arms at the New Hampshire Senate legislative session. A couple of years ago, I represented Sunapee in the state legislature, and I was a member of the state constitutional convention. Next year, I hope to represent the 7th district in the state senate. My partner, William Coles, decided to sell his interest in the company to Irving Rowell. This was in 1882, and the name was changed to Bartlett and Rowell. In January of '93, our original building was destroyed by fire, and it was a terrible blow. But we decided to rebuild, and we put up a new frame building on a larger improved plan. We have always had excellent water power from the Sugar River. As years went by, we needed more housing for our workers and their families. So we built some tenements for them. One across the street here, and another was put up on Main Street by the tin shop. By 1896, we had one of the largest, if not the largest, hame plants in the United States. We decided to incorporate as a consolidated hame company, and it was comprised of the Sunapee business and Baker, Carr and Company of Andover. We made the common wood hame as well as a fancy hame and an iron. Hello, Ernest. I'd like you to meet some visitors to my town. This is my son, Ernest. Yes, what is it, my dear?
Oh, Grandfather, do tell the story about that man who drowned in a lake and how you got his body out.
Yes, that was quite an adventure, and I know you like to hear it. However, I agreed to let Mr. Goss tell about it, so you'll have to run along to his house if you want. I will say that I was pleased to contribute to the satisfactory recovery of that poor man.
Yes, my father was always one to get things done, even if the task at hand wasn't always a pleasant one. I know I'm proud to call him my father, and have some mighty big shoes to fill. Me, I went to Sunapee Elementary before moving on to Mount Herman in Northfield, Massachusetts. From there, I went to Springfield College. In 1894 and 1895, I worked in the dry goods business in Springfield before returning here to Sunapee to work in my father's hame shop. It was here that I met Beatrice Wary, an English lady who came across the pond to take care of her sister. We fell in love and were married in October 27, 1896. And that house next door here was a wedding gift to me and my wife from my parents. Today we have it filled with 4 lovely daughters. Anyway,
Ernest,
along that line.
I know you're going to follow in your father's footsteps and you're going to devote yourself to our community. There's lots of good things to do here, as serving the church, serving our town at the library, and I foresee that you're going to become very prosperous, and I think that the tourism business may prove to be as prosperous as the hame business.
You have a vivid imagination, Mother. But I do hope to make something of myself someday.
Eventually, Ernest's family would grow to 5 daughters, and as for Ernest himself, he would do well in the town. He was the president of the Sunapee Mutual Fire Insurance Company, and he served on the board of directors of the Citizens National Bank in Newport. He was on the committee which organized the building of the Abbott Library, and he also served the church as chairman on its board of trustees. After his mother passed, Ernest would eventually inherit land on the shore of the lake, and on that land he built Indian Cave Lodge. That was an important hotel in Sunapee Harbor, and it was operated from 1929 until 1945, when it was sold out of the family.
Grandfather, can't you tell us more stories?
I know how you enjoy hearing them, but we don't have time for that right now. These folks have other things to do today, but we'll talk about them another day. Thanks for stopping by, folks, and have a pleasant day here in Sunapee.